Good afternoon, colleagues. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone to our Spring 2022 Boston University School of Social Work and Equity Inclusion Speakers Series event, co-sponsored with both our clinical and macro department, Cultural Betrayal and Conundrums, the making of a book with Dr. Jennifer Gómez. My name is Dr. Daniel Jacobson Lopez, and I'm an assistant professor of social work in our macro department, a faculty affiliate at our Center for Innovation, Social Work and Health, and a member of our BUSSW Equity Inclusion Committee, which includes all of our stakeholders. This includes faculty, staff, students, administrators, and alumni. The committee has been around for many years, engaging in the work of building equity, inclusion, and justice here at Boston University School of Social Work, as well as amplifying social justice-focused activities right here in our community. Some of the work we have engaged in includes organizing social justice learning communities, creating social justice-focused case consultations, partnering with different departments around social justice-focused interventions, student support and solidarity circles, and a field department social justice seminar. We also have a wonderful resource page available to anyone, and this includes podcasts, peer-reviewed literature, and media articles I encourage everyone to check out and share among your friends and colleagues. And finally, huge news for us, it has completed a 3-hour online one in the world for free. You can access many of these resources at our Equity and Inclusion webpage, and we want to thank all the faculty and doctoral students, especially here at BUSSW, who put in so many hours to make this a reality. So I'm going to briefly review our format for today. I will introduce Dr. Gómez, and she's going to present for about 30 minutes. We will then have 3 members of our BUSSW community offer a 1-minute reflection about the talk and ask Dr. Gómez a question. And finally, we'll be able to answer a few questions from our audience that you can type into the chat at any point in time. So here's just a quick review of a few Zoom housekeeping items. So anyone here who's receiving CEUs, we ask that you need to keep your camera on during the entire session. However, if you're not receiving CEUs, then we recommend turning off your camera during the talk. And again, if you are receiving CEUs, just know you will need to complete the evaluation form, and this is going to be sent at the end of the presentation. And we're going to type that link for that evaluation into the chat at the end. And we encourage everyone to have your Zoom setting to speaker's view. We will be recording the presentation, so for whatever reason you're not comfortable being recorded and you aren't receiving CEUs, please keep your camera off during the event, and we will be posting this recording on our Equity Inclusion Speaker Series page in a few days. All participants are going to be muted during the presentation, right? This makes it easier for us to hear Dr. Gómez's presentation, and please do not use the chat during Dr. Gómez's presentation, as that can be distracting. Closed captioning is also available for the presentation. To use closed captions, what you do is you need to click on the closed caption button and choose show subtitle. So I was going to say show subtitle, and that's going to allow for the captions to overlay on your screen. And finally, it goes without saying that all comments in the chat should be respectful and mindful of everyone in our Boston University School of Social Work community. We would like to begin our presentation with a land acknowledgement. This is always important and at times gets overlooked. So a land acknowledgement reminds us that all colonization is an enduring reality and that Boston University sits on the stolen traditional lands of the Massachusetts people. If you're outside of Boston, we recommend taking time to learn about the tribal lands where you live and the ongoing movements to have the land honored, acknowledged, and ultimately returned. As you know, this past year has been like no other, with COVID-19 unmasking the devastating long-term effects of gender inequity, of anti-Asian violence, anti-Semitism, and racial capitalism. The timing of Dr. Gómez's presentation couldn't be more appropriate for our historical moment, where we as social workers and part of the world community stand at a crossroad. So without further ado, our speaker tonight, Dr. Jennifer Gómez, of the Center for Institutional Courage, is a 2021-2022 CABS Fellow at Stanford University and is an incoming assistant professor at the School of Social Work at Boston University. So definitely a warm welcome to Dr. Gómez, and we are so excited to have her join our faculty. Her research in cultural betrayal trauma theory, CBTT, is regarding the impact of violence on Black and other marginalized populations. And this has been recognized, her research has been recognized by the National Academy of Sciences, the Ford Foundation, and among other prestigious organizations. This presentation is framed around incoming BUSSW faculty member, Dr. Jennifer Gómez's forthcoming book titled Cultural Betrayal, Sexual Abuse and Healing for Black Women and Girls, From Black Lives Matter to Me Too. The talk will begin with a description of cultural betrayal trauma theory, followed by a brief review of the empirical research to date. After providing an overview of the book, current conundrums related to the following topics will be delineated. First, inequity in the Black Lives Matter and Me Too movements. Second, the diversity of Black women and girls. 3, radical disruption of the medical model for mental health. And 4, violent silencing. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Jennifer Gómez.
Thank you so much for the introduction and for having me here. I'm super excited. So let me just share my screen with you all. And I essentially have no real work to do since the form I was just laid out for you all. So I'll just start by saying that I'm extremely grateful to be here. So what happened is that I gave a version of this talk in November at CASB at Stanford, and I knew I was going to do it. And so I asked faculty at the School of Social Work if they would want to come and join, and they said, awesome. And then I went back to CASB and they said it's closed. So I had to come back and say, you're not invited, but I would love it if we would still do it, but you would have to host it and do all the labor. And they said yes. So a big thank you to BU School of Social Work, the Equity Inclusion Committee, and everybody here on the screen, Don Martinez, Daniel Jacobson Lopez, Daniel Miller, Greer Hamilton, Laura Cohen, Corinne Boga, Nadia Foster, Jordana Muroff, and Jorge Delva, and everyone else who I don't know who's done so much work in this for these events. I really, really appreciate it. So a friendly reminder that this revolution will be televised. Mostly a reminder for myself. I normally don't allow myself to be filmed because of the coordinated white supremacist efforts to dox and harass faculty of color like myself who do work around racism. And so I'm making an exception here, which I make sometimes. But a reminder, as Daniel said, that whatever you say, you know, that can be heard by others after we leave each other today. So I want to start by framing us with a newly departed Bell Hooks quote here. The heart of justice is truth telling, seeing ourselves in the world the way it is, rather than the way we want it to be. And so I have a plan that Daniel already laid out for you, so I'll just go ahead and jump in. So first is cultural betrayal trauma theory. And so the idea that I'll be talking about cultural betrayal trauma theory, essentially what makes trauma traumatic. So this comes from an article that I published in The Conversation a few years ago, asking questions like, what makes R. Kelly's sexual abuse of Black girls different than that of others, like Woody Allen? The founder of the Me Too movement, why is Tarana Burke, a Black woman, getting death threats from Black men? And I'll point out that this article, The Unique Harm of Sexual Abuse in the Black Community, has over 636,000 reads. That's over 500,000. And I point that out because even just a few years ago, I would guess that there wouldn't be this public interest in sexual abuse and the Black community and sexual abuse in the Black community. So we're not where we want to be, which is there would be no sexual abuse, but we are in a place that we're addressing it openly and fully. I'll point you really briefly that cultural betrayal trauma theory and the work I've done with it doesn't come out of nowhere. It stands on the shoulders of much work in the past from Black feminist scholars and activists like Bell Hooks, the Combahee River Collective, Black trauma researchers like Tim Bryant Davis, and other feminist trauma researchers like Jennifer Fried's work and Judy Herman, as well as feminisms of color like Laura Anzaldúa, Audre Lorde, Charles Mills from philosophy, and Kim Crenshaw, and Trisha Bent Goodley, and many, many others. And so this work pulls in so much of what I've learned from all of this work, and then takes it from there. So what I do with cultural betrayal trauma theory, this recommendation comes from a special issue of Social Science and Medicine, co-edited by the late, great, legendary James Jackson. And recommendation number one for understanding and examining racial inequalities in health is that you've got to have frameworks that start with structural and cultural racism. So what does that mean? It means that you say, there's structural and cultural racism, critical race perspective, now what do I do? Now what do I ask? Now how do I interpret what I'm finding here? And that's essentially what I've done with cultural betrayal trauma theory. So I'll walk you through this flow chart. So at the top, we have societal trauma. So you can think of this as anti-Black racism against Black people in the US, such as 1 in 3 men being incarcerated in their lifetime, Black men. Because of this racism, some Black people develop what I term intercultural trust. So this love, loyalty, connection, solidarity, responsibility, I am because we are, to buffer against that mean racism, that mean societal trauma. And so then when violence happens within group, within the Black community, then it violates that intercultural trust. It's a cultural betrayal. And then this within group violence, these cultural betrayal traumas, I predict are associated with things that we typically think about with trauma, mental health, PTSD, things like that, as well as cultural outcomes that we typically don't think about with trauma, things like internalized prejudice. Now, additionally, what you have here with cultural betrayal trauma theory is if intercultural trust, the solidarity is largely positive, intercultural pressure is this negative transformation. So that's the keep problems in house, that hell has no fury compared to the hate and vitriol that's been heaved on the Black women who have spoken publicly about R. Kelly's sexual abuse that he's been perpetrating for decades. And you can think about it with intercultural pressure, I'm gonna say this, kind of who gets to be Black and whose needs get to be privileged. And so in the case of sexual abuse that I'll be talking about today, it's not the Black women and girls whose needs are privileged. Yes, it's the Black men who perpetrate the violence. It's the Black men who don't perpetrate any violence at all. And it's the Black community as a whole, over the Black women and girls. And so in short, then cultural betrayal trauma, just to hone it in, is simply trauma, violence, abuse, where the victim and perpetrator share at least one marginalized identity. So both Black, for instance. Now, some of us may remember in '91, Anita Hill being sworn in to testify about to be confirmed Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas's article cultural betrayal, sexual harassment of her. CBTD postulates and evidence. I'm not going to go into depth of it with this for time, but I'll tell you kind of the broad strokes of what I found, and this is with diverse young adult marginalized populations. And that is that there's evidence to suggest that the harm of cultural betrayal is unique within marginalized populations. So this isn't just an in-group thing. This is an in-group thing when that group is marginalized. Then the cultural betrayal has this extra harm. Also been able to tease out with this work that cultural betrayal, part of the trauma, uniquely impacts outcomes above and beyond the impact of the violence itself, above and beyond the impact of the perpetrator being somebody close or trusted. Cultural betrayal is still contributing something yucky. And we also find with this work that intercultural trust matters. So Black people, marginalized people, we're not all the same, right? And everyone feels a strong bond with their marginalized group or groups. But it's for those that do feel that bond that this cultural betrayal is more costly for mental health. And that would make sense, right? So for the book, so I've changed the title 50 times. I might change again. As of now, it's Cultural Betrayal, from Violent Silencing to Healing from Sexual Abuse for Black Women and Girls. I have a book contract with APA Books, which is the press for the American Psychological Association. So I'll walk you through kind of the scope of the book. So we have the first half that's foundational, and then the second half of the book is kind of what do we do with this information. So chapter 1 is about intersectionality from Crenshaw, interlocking oppression, long, about 150 years, Black feminist advocacy and scholarship around interlocking oppression to set us up. Chapter 2 is a review of the literature of sexual violence against Black women and girls. Chapter 3 is cultural betrayal trauma theory, the theory itself, the evidence, the meaning making, future direction. And then I dive into what do we do with that information? So chapter 4 is how do we provide effective therapy that's not oppressive, that's culturally competent.
Jennifer,
yes.
So just you're a little bit fuzzy. I just wonder if you could get maybe a little closer to the microphone or something. You're coming in and out, and that would just, maybe if you're closer to the microphone, that would be better. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, that's okay. Is this any better?
That's a little better. I think being closer to the microphone might be helpful.
Okay. Please, this is as close as I can go. I'll try to speak loudly and hopefully won't come in and out. After the therapy chapter is radical healing. So we know that therapy isn't the only place to heal. So this is healing outside of the therapy walls for individuals, for communities, for families. And then chapter 6 is a chapter to make the whole book obsolete is the goal, which is how can we use institutional courage, a concept from Jennifer Fried, for a better world. So how do we make it so there actually isn't violence and there actually isn't oppression? How do we get to that place? And what needs to happen for us to get there? And so what is conundrums? When I pitched this talk, I talked about conundrums. Now the feedback I got from CASB fellows was that the frame of conundrums places myself and then Black women and girls as problems, while not labeling white supremacy in all instantiations as the problem. It's also incongruent with Black feminist and womanist traditions of really centering Black women and girls unapologetically. And so I've adjusted now to conundrums are now tension, and my current thinking is now critical visioning. And additional thing I got from CASB fellows was that the way that I give the talk, which you'll see, would also be good in writing. And so now I'm starting each chapter of the book with kind of what I'll be discussing with you today of this tension, this critical visioning as a way to help frame the chapter, to model thought process, give meta explanations of CBTT, to frame the chapter and so on. So an example of this, that I'll give you briefly, critical visioning for chapter 6, which we won't discuss today, caring and institutional change work. And so here, I had a discussion with a colleague, and I said that X department does not care about diversity, equity, and inclusion in their faculty because they keep hiring white faculty over and over and over again. And my colleague said, not really fair to say there's a gap between norms and practices, with norms being what the stated values are and practices being what you actually do. And there's a gap between the two, and you can't put this emotion within a complex system. And so here's the critical visioning that's currently drafted for chapter 6. The tension occurs under explicit and implicit calls to suppress Black feminist emotionality in favor of white Eurocentric rationality in order to understand institutions in action. Given that violent oppression is not a feelingless experience, a mandate for an emotionless response to violent oppression is unreasonable, unfair, and another instantiation of such oppression. My critical visioning privileges Black feminist emotionality as grounded emotions can and should be used to engender motivation, problem solving, and structural change. Thus, identification of the norms, practices, gap of institutions happens within a deliberate ethic of caring. And so that's what you all will help me do in this workshop. I'll be getting your questions and feedback and incorporation. The chapters I'll go through will be out of order. And to memorize these, we'll just bounce along here as we go. So chapter 2, we remember, is the chapter on sexual violence against Black women and girls. So the background for the tension is this: who are Black women and girls, right? So Black women and girls are very diverse in a host of ways and also endure various forms and different forms of structural inequality. Now, this matters in particular with sexual violence because sexual violence is about power. That's why you have society condoning perpetrators sexually violating diverse women of color, lesbians, trans women, disabled women at higher rates than their privileged counterparts. We also see that for little ones, 40% of confirmed victims of sex trafficking are Black girls, 40%. Now, Black girls certainly do not make up 40% of the US population here, right? So there's something else going on. Now, some more background here, this from Audre Lorde. She speaks very persuasively about the need for there not to be a hierarchy of oppression, meaning you cannot just discuss racism on its own, because racism is occurring along with homophobia in this case. So any attack against Black people is a lesbian and gay issue and vice versa, because there are people who are both and then are enduring both these oppressions at the same time. So what does CBTT say about this? So not so good. The theory itself is predicated on inequality, but has not been meaningfully incorporated these multiple inequalities or affecting inequalities. From beginning work in this direction, I've been theorizing about cultural betrayal, sexual abuse in this way as having a cultural betrayal harm between Blackness and an oppressive harm through the sexism and the violence, right? And so you actually have two things going on here and not just one, and that's part of the harm. Both my former students, Drew Wiggins and Alana Keller, worked with me on trying to understand this in even a different way of what if you have multiple shared marginalized identities and group membership. So shared queerness, shared of color, shared gender, and how that might be impacting. All this at a very kind of high theoretical level. So the tension is that to not state and be discussing this diversity serves then to just put the most privileged Black women and girls at the top and as the norm, with everyone else being made invisible. The other option, though, that I worry about is that if you have a chapter that says, okay, here's Black women, here's Black Muslim women, here's Black Latinos, that you get into this kind of like sideshowish kind of thing. So here's my critical visioning and my current thinking. This is the last slide that you'll see on this chapter. And so to directly name and correct this homogenous misperception of Black women and girls, and to openly discuss Audre Lorde and the economic hierarchy of oppression. It's additionally to pull in the theory of the racial contract from Charles Mills. And here Charles Mills argues that white supremacy is a unifying political system under which other axes of oppression flourish. So it's why you don't see poor whites and poor people of color unifying against the system. There's lots in common there, but the racism interrupts it. Even with the classism should unify. And then in chapters 2 and 3, the future directions, really complicating Black women and girls and bringing in much more deeply these concepts I've talked about cultural betrayal and oppression and multiple cultural betrayals, and really pointing to where future research can go. So that's who are Black women and girls. So for chapter 4 now, this is our therapy chapter. And so here, the background is do we apple cart the medical model? And I'll let you know what I mean. So dominant clinical practice is framed around disorders, and there are evidence-based treatments for disorders. There are no evidence-based treatments for trauma. There's no evidence-based treatments for people, just for disorders. Now, mainstream cultural adaptations infuse an attendance to culture and context and say, okay, we have this framework, but then make sure you incorporate these very important things. Now, prominent but marginalized, more radical culturally competent perspectives say, turn the apple cart upside down, dismantle the above premises of the medical model of individualized pathology, interrogate the evidence, including the trajectory of what outcomes we're looking for. Now, from a CBTT/me lens, I probably have a paper from a few years back where we talk about healing, and we talk about healing being the creation of a whole being, and that has strength and helplessness and connection and reconnection to the self and others. And so healing isn't this discrete process that happens, but instead is a continuous, ever-evolving lived experience that survivors can give themselves. And in this kind of lucid definition of healing, you see nothing of PTSD and nothing of symptom reduction. Here it's a different framework. The tension that I'm having is that if I turn the apple cart upside down, if I really do it and really go for it, will the book be disregarded? and just said, well, this isn't science, this isn't good work, this isn't relevant, this isn't state of the art. And if I don't do this, then what am I doing here? why am I bothering if I'm just tap dancing for approval? And interspliced with this is the white read. And so the white read is like it's an internalized bigot that as you're typing, comes into your head and talks to you about what they will think. And so what I'm often told by my white read is you can't be so radical in your approach because they won't understand it. And so my critical visioning here, so the white read provides a single image of a homogeneous audience of racist white people. So we have to demand more. So an example of this, have an invited commentary currently in Press and Perspectives on Psychological Science. It's commentary on the Target article, which is about the use of the GRE at admissions. And reviewer 2 policed my tone very classically. There was angry, not collaborative, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And here's what I wrote. I said, appraisal of how any work will be received is dependent upon who the audience is presumed to be. I'm not comfortable with changing the tonal landscape of the current piece in order to match an imagined audience that is homogenous, defensive, and culturally out of tune with the existence and understanding of multiple modes of communication, including that which is grounded in a Black feminist ethic of caring, including talking with the heart. This piece was accepted for publication after my response. So cheers to Speaking Truth to Power, and credit goes to Matt Rhodes and Laura King, current editors, getting this work out. This is the last slide you'll see for this chapter. So my critical visioning is, again, this Black feminist centering, that our perspectives, our words, our actions are worthy and valuable. And then to be pulling from sentiment, of course, from the Convergee Rebel Collective, and from work from womanists and Humanista psychology, from relational cultural therapy, from the Liberation Health Framework, John Belton Martinez and Fleck Henderson here at BU, to really centralize, and unabashedly so, if we really want to do this in a way that isn't oppressive, what do we have to do? So we've got who are Black women and girls. We've got, okay, let's try to not be jerks in therapy. And here we have radical healing. And so this eek for chapter 5 also overlays the entire book. And this is about violence, silencing, and fear. And so in comparing responses to Anita Hill in 91 and then Christine Blasey Ford in 2018, who both testified about sexual harassment and abuse by to be confirmed Supreme Court justices, Clarence Thomas and Brett Kavanaugh. Both were silencing. When it was negative, it was both silencing. What I noticed in particular with Christine Blasey Ford was more of a response of disbelief. Maybe she's fragile, maybe she's remembering correctly, maybe she's just not sure what actually happened. With Anita Hill, and she discusses this in her book, Speaking Truth to Power, talks instead about a belief from many in the Black community of course, this happened, you were in a law firm with men. Like, what did you think was gonna happen? But how dare you say something about it? Because we're losing Thurgood Marshall on the Supreme Court and we need to protect this Black Supreme Court seat, so be quiet. They're both silencing, they're both painful. But this one over here for Anita Hill is something different is operating. Here, and I would argue with cultural betrayal stuff, right, intercultural pressure stuff. And cultural betrayal trauma theory, this work happens within this context of all the excuses to not actually engage and interrogate anti-Black racism, including what about Black on Black crime? You're talking about police killing Black people, but what about Black on Black crime? Black on Black crime would be a really offensive way to say cultural betrayal trauma, right? So with CBTP, I have that context embedded then within the theory. So this from a talk I gave to Motor City Singer Space, musical event series, to about 100 Black Detroiters a few years ago. And I said, what we have happening is this block of protection. If it's Black, we can't address it. If it's Black, we can't question it. If it's Black, we will stand by it, even if it's drowning us all. Because we can't give them the system, the police, the judges, the teachers, the social workers, those well-being therapists. We can't give them another reason to denigrate us. And in that way, in privileging our fear of oppression, we privilege white supremacy. We behave as though their beliefs of us and their societal power over us dictates what is best for us. And then we let them decide what we will and will not do to address a problem as big as sexual assault in the Black community. So the tension that I have here for chapter 5 and the book is just straight up fear. I posted a video about a study that I published in Violence Against Women. And one of the comments was, "You are so brave. Women of color who dare discuss male predation or violence in minority communities often meet with violent backlash, rape, death threats. Stay safe, sister." I'm always fearful of when it's going to start. So my critical visioning, I have a couple of slides for this, is that I've chosen to weave this violent silencing as a thread throughout the book, to have kind of a major discussion throughout of a kind of self-reflexive, my fear of violence silencing, the reality of violence silencing, and how that kind of peeks its ugly head through all the topics I'm going to be discussing in the book. And in doing that, I'm refusing to not write, refusing to not research, refusing to not speak, and kind of doing it anyway. But I'm frightened. So any help, support, strategies you have around that reality, or around how to effectively incorporate into the book, and love to hear it. The last chapter that we have, this is coming from chapter 1, Black Lives Matter, Me Too, and the impact of intersectionality. And so the plot here for chapter 1 is that mirroring the civil rights and white feminist movements, Black Lives Matter and Me Too movements have spotlights on the most privileged. And so for Black Lives Matter, it's Black cis men and boys, and for the Me Too movement, it's rich white women. And this is happening despite the fact that both movements have Black women founders, like Alicia Garza and Shawana Burke, who focus very directly, very deliberately, very publicly on the needs of Black women and girls, including the sexual violence they experience. Now, the CDTT lens in this frame is really just a, yes, I agree, Kim Crenshaw lens with her theory of political intersectionality. And she talks about how white feminist politics and anti-racist politics have at the same time marginalized issues for women of color, including violence. So you have white women being privileged over here, you have Black men being privileged over here, and then the issue of violence against women falls in the void between. And so in the book, I'm working to deliberately bring these things together with anti-Black racism and sexual violence as intertwined social issues here. The tension that I have is overly focusing on inequity can lead to erasure. So mentioned the founders here, including Shawana Burke, talks about sexual violence doesn't discriminate, the response to it does. And she's spoken very, very publicly and openly about this problem, specifically the problem of sexual violence against Black women and girls, specifically that the majority of perpetrators are Black men, and specifically that it's not having space in typical race circles, social justice race circles. And so to focus on it seems like it might just be erasing hers and others' work around this issue. However, on the flip side, not discussing it inhibits truth telling and also learning. How can we change this in the future, for the future? So my critical visioning, we'll have a couple of slides on this, is to open discuss the reality of this privileged co-optation. And Alicia Garza talks about this in the book by Yamara Taylor on the company River Collective. Additionally, to use this, the centrality of Black men as kind of an example of the intercultural pressure that Black women and girl survivors face to protect the Black community at all costs, even at the expense of yourself and your health. And having the book itself dismantle and disrupt this intercultural pressure, and then also its parent, which is inequality, right? Intercultural pressure is there because the inequality is overhanging. And so the last slide we'll see for this chapter, this is a piece I wrote when I was a graduate student several years ago. I was getting sexualized and exoticized in social justice circles, which wasn't lost on me. And in this piece, I talk about that the fight for social justice cannot be relegated to a hypocritical battle to make things better over there. We have to actually work simultaneously to change the status quo here. So it's not lost on me that I'm working to disrupt and end violence and oppression that one-dimensionalize people. I am being one-dimensionalized and sexualized and exoticized based on my fears. Okay, what I have for you is just a couple of resources, and then we'll close with beauty before we have a discussion. So resources, I'm Jennifer and Gómez. My website is jmgomez.org. I do my best to have things be very accessible here. So if this topic interests you, check it out. I also lost half my life in doing these projects on the Open Science Framework. These are, the first one, the Gómez Hope Professional Development Series, is part of my lab meetings. I have different types of lab meetings, some include professional development. And so here I have handouts, should you be interested about self-care and trauma research and clinical work, how to give engaging talks, how to publish work that centralizes inequality and so on. And in the Gómez Social Justice Institutional Change collection, I have handouts largely from the behind the scenes fighting and social action I've been doing, including compiling resources. So I hand out here is how faculty can structurally support graduate students in this era that we're in. Lastly, I'll point you to this panel from On the Record. On the Record is a documentary by HBO Max about Black women survivors, including Sherry Sher on the panel, who endured over fulfilling sexual abuse. So this session is framed around cultural betrayal trauma theory, but in my opinion, it's absolutely phenomenal with the panels that we have. This is currently up on YouTube, and you can check it out. I encourage you to do so if you're interested. So closing with beauty, this will be the last thing I say before shutting down. I often get asked how I can do this work. Isn't this work so hard and so painful and so depressing? And what I'll leave us with is that I continue to persevere because within the world's senselessness and depravity are the souls that remain. Thus there is beauty in the fight for what's right. And with that beauty is solidarity, freedom, and hope, radical hope that despite all the evidence to the contrary, the world and each of us in it are worth saving. So thank you so much. And I will open it up for you all.
Very much, Dr. Gómez, for your incredible talk, amazing research that you are doing. So let's all first give a round of applause by reactions to Dr. Gómez for such an amazing speech and gave us so many complex facets of sexual assault and sexual abuse with racism, anti-Black racism, homophobia. You mentioned so many different intersections of identities. So thank you so much for that, because your work is definitely much needed and under research. So thank you so much for contributing. So we would like to first begin by allowing our first reflector. So I want to introduce you to our first reflector, Corinne Bogard. Corinne is a doctoral candidate studying addiction and recovery centered in harm reduction. Corinne's personal and professional passions are oriented in healthcare and food systems justice. So now I'm going to turn it over to Corinne.
Hi, thank you so much for your talk. I was like writing furiously the whole time so I could come up with, a question that could capture even just a portion of what you shared with us today. I was really struck by your description of the Black feminist ethic of caring, which is essential to the emotional response to the cultural trauma, and how that is sort of at odds with what the dominant Eurocentric Puritan norms are sort of willing to entertain as a mechanism of confrontation or even just approach. And then I was kind of next thinking about your kind of like questioning how much we can accept or how much do we need to rethink, overturn, sort of rewrite the narrative of the medicalization of the human experience, the over pathologizing of just being alive in a world in which, you know, we're up against these really violent systems and sort of positioned against each other by that sort of upper tier of power and supremacy. And so I was wondering if you could talk really briefly, and maybe when you get to BU, I can, you know, come to your office and we can have a more extensive conversation. But I'm wondering if you could talk briefly about what spaces do you think are well suited to support this type of sort of holistic trauma healing that embraces rather than rejects the emotional nature of the healing, and what types of practices do you think would be supportive of that? And at first I wrote down modalities, but that's obviously so clinical and sort of antithetical to what I'm, you know, kind of curious about. And if you don't have any answer to that, of course, you know, whatever. But I really appreciate everything you had to say today, and looking forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all of that. I'll go quickly because I know Dawn was a tight ship here with time. I think that, I mean, there's a few spaces to do this healing. One would be there's a psychology framework for radical healing and collective, which if you don't know about, check it out. French and Dion Lewis and many others about this radical healing against the systems. I think within therapy, I've been learning the liberation health framework, and that's another one, and one that really bridges the macro level and the micro level together, thinking therapeutically. In terms of other spaces, one, we have these spaces. Like I have these spaces in my life. It's just that a lot of times I think that we don't think they're valid, or we don't think they count, or we don't utilize them as much. And I'm guilty of that one. And have this internalized kind of what should count and what's okay to have happen, and is it okay to feel things. So in my self-care document, I say that self-care is not ever feeling negative emotions. Something sad happens, you feel sad, that would make sense. And having space for that. And so I think that there's spaces in therapy that it can happen. I think there's spaces that we have, and I think when we don't have those spaces, then we create them. And we can just create them. And if we're in spaces that aren't serving us in this way, are oppressive, then we can leave them and go to other spaces.
Thank you so much, Corinne and Dr. Gómez. So now we're turning over to Nadia Foster. Nadia Foster serves as the leadership coach and technical advisor with various public school districts and nonprofits across the Commonwealth. Nadia has consulted and worked in various leadership roles in higher education, including Boston University and Bentley University, public schools, Boston Public Schools and EDC, healthcare, the Demoak Center, and Steward Healthcare. She holds a Master of Social Work with a concentration in nonprofit management from Boston University. So Nadia, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you, Dr. Gómez. Firstly, this talk was incredible this evening, and thank you for lifting up just incredible scholars like our dear Bell Hooks and Audre Lorde. Audre Lorde, in her book, Sister Outsider, talks about the darkness in women, the darkness in Black women. And I believe that she really speaks to that generational trauma. And I so appreciate you bringing in that lens of, we cannot leave out sort of elements of the health and really thinking about this liberation health framework that you refer to, and connecting it to, the CBTT and the Dr. Gómez model, and where you talk about really the whole being. And I want to ask you, Dr. Gómez, about, where you see rituals, right? Because rituals are so, such a big part of our ancestry, and how you see rituals even fitting into that, and whether or not there could be some controversy there, because I so appreciate the white read, right? You referred to the white read, I believe it was, that inner voice that says, could that be validated or not? So if you could speak to that. And also, I cannot let you off the hook about the Anita Hill and the silencing and what continues to happen in our society around silencing Black and brown women and girls. Is it just men silencing, and what role do women play in that as well? Thank you so much.
Yeah, you gave me a lot there. Violent, how do I put this? It's not as simple as the mean men do the violent silencing and the good women sit together. That's not what's happening. A lot of the violent silencing is happening from other women, policing other women. And Cohen's work, additional and secondary marginalization, talks about these hierarchies in marginalized groups. And so you have the people on the top, that would be in this case, let's say, Black, cis, straight men, then policing the behavior of those below them in the group. So Russell Simmons, who's been accused of sexually assaulting lots of women, policed women's behavior and talked about toxic femininity and women should put up their boundaries more. And it's like, oh, let's not listen to someone accused of sexual assault. On how women should behave. And it was this clear policing that's happening. Let's take the focus off of myself and put it on to women and police their behavior. And women police each other's behavior. And so the violent silencing, if you're looking at it in the most gracious way, is and most understandable way for me, is it stemming from this toxic need for protection against this system. And so if you look at it decontextualized and just say, wow, that's nasty, then you're missing the ultimate culprit and who needs to be intervened upon up here, which is the racism. Why is it not safe if I was raped last night to call the police? They might kill him, right? They might sexually abuse me, right? This is dangerous and that should not be there. And so the violent silencing has to be connected back up to the racism, and then you can dismantle from both layers, right? Like the problem's big enough. In terms of rituals, the first thought that I had in my head is how, well, first I was like, rituals are fantastic, right? And they give us such beauty. I took a walk before the talk. I walked up here and the mountains are over me, and I always do that before I give a talk. I take a walk and get grounded. The next thing I thought was like, ooh, if it's cultural betrayal, then some cultural rituals might be kind of married to the violence, or rituals in families. There's been abuse in families, and those rituals are tainted. Yes. And so I think being able to help reclaim or remake rituals can be really helpful. So one thing in Kwanzaa, for instance, is the need for community. And when I was younger, I was like, but people are unsafe. So you telling me I need community in order to be whole or to be whatever, or to be Black, doesn't jive with me because people are unsafe, And being able, I think, to live in wherever spaces you're in within that, and then create rituals that you need that make sense to you, which may not align with the cultural rituals around you because of cultural betrayal and family betrayal and violence, all that sort of thing. The white, I'm not sure what the question was, but it's nasty. We have to dismantle it all the time. It's just internalized old Klansman that lives right here that I have to just kick out of my head as I write and think.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nadia, and again, Dr. Gómez, for your very insightful answers as well. So now I'm going to introduce Dr. Jordana Muroff, who is an associate professor in the chair of clinical practice department. She is passionate about developing empirically supported mental health interventions based in strong community collaborations to make them more easily disseminated, linguistically appropriate, and culturally relevant. She is particularly interested in health technology innovations that help reduce health inequities and stigma and improve access to mental health services for underserved populations. She has led numerous federal and foundation funded research, studies, and collaboration with various community agencies. So now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Moreau.
Hi, Dr. Gómez. Thank you so much for the opportunity to learn from you today, and really looking forward to continuing conversations as well. And thank you so much also for discussing a number of the tensions in your own personal process with those as well. Really, really helpful. And so I guess I really appreciated you kind of centralizing, you kind of put early on in terms of centralizing white supremacy culture within this and ideology, and really kind of having that kind of as the focus. And I guess one of the things I'm curious about too is thinking about how you know, a shift from like this internalized racism towards kind of more appropriated racial oppression, and kind of seeing that in terms of white supremacy, in terms of its experience, you know, in terms of its effect all the way through. And when you were kind of talking about the Me Too movements and so forth, obviously that kind of connects in terms of people's responses and who's celebrated and who's continued to be harmed through that process too. So I was wondering a little bit about those connections, and your thoughts about that framing, as well as from the standpoint of the evidence-based practices that you were mentioning being, you know, basically culturally based practices, again, steeped in white supremacy culture and ideology, right, as well. And so there's been a shift around affirming based interventions. And so kind of curious about how that fits in or doesn't fit in to what you were talking about in terms of is that just further medicalization, or and your thoughts about that as well. So,
that's
question.
Yeah, so I'll start backwards to forwards. And so I actually wrote the part of chapter 4, the cultural competency chapter, the medical model section today, like this morning, I drafted it, and was grappling with this, of that not being down with a medical model does not mean that you don't believe in distress, that people are suffering, or that there needs to be aid or help for those people who need or want it. What I wrote this morning, this is pulling from Gloria Latson-Billings in education, of asking a different question. And so she looks at it as teachers and so on asking, like, what's wrong with those kids, right? Like, what's wrong with those Black kids? And it's the wrong question, right? Because the question then localizes the problem where within the children. And so asking a different question of, like, on the one hand, what's the harm going on around them? But for Latson-Billings, really being like, what's great about those kids? And when it works, when a classroom is really effective and really growth fostering, what's happening there and what can we do? And so I see in culturally competent therapy, whatever that means, of looking at the same time, harms that are being done, and that locus being external, right, being systems. The violence, the inequality, and so on. But we can't stop there. It's not enough just to say the pathology isn't inside you. Okay, we have to then say, like, okay, so what's really wonderful here? And one thing I have in the CBMI BAA, which is the Cultural Betrayal Multidimensional Inventory for Black American Young Adults, collaboration with Lars Johnson at Wayne State, I have different measures for tenets of the theory, as well as a post-traumatic growth measure. Now, post-traumatic growth isn't an integral part. You didn't hear me discuss it in the talk, but I have it there because if you want to find evidence that trauma predicts bad stuff, you can do it every day and twice on Sundays. And it only gives us part of the picture, because if everything were so terrible all the time, the world would collapse. There'd be nobody left, right? But people who've experienced this cultural betrayal violence have so much wisdom, have so much relational healthiness, have so much love and connection to other people. And how can we know about those? And then how can we use those and leverage those with the individual, and then them in relationship with other people in the community to promote healing, I think is really important. And so I don't think it's a medicalization to switch the focus, but I want to hear more about that. We can talk another time. And then I do not recall your other question even a little bit.
It was more just related to, thank you so much for this, and I know I'm not supposed to follow up, but let's just say real quick, is the just around appropriated racial oppression versus kind of the internalized oppression as well. Kind of thinking about
like white women appropriating me too.
in kind of that connection in terms of like how it's kind of like harmful across the board, right? But at the same time, right, obviously it's not about the internalized oppression, right? Puts it kind of, again, the responsibility on the person of color, right, in terms of that as well. And so just who's celebrated and then who's continued to be kind of harmed as a result of that. But we could talk about that some other time.
Yeah, you said it better than I could. We'll keep it there.
Great, thank you so much. So we do have a question from one of our audience members, Michelle Welsh, who wants to first thank you so much and saying deeply appreciative of your work and wondering how much do you engage in self-care, and if you are able to or care to expand, how do you think that public leadership can take a toll on people, including yourself, who experience multiple levels of cultural betrayal?
Oh, good question. I shall remember I am being recorded, and so I will just share part of these true answers and not everything. I think the first thing is I frame, if we frame self-care in an unhealthy way, then it puts locus on control and the blame on you when you're suffering. So it's like, I'm having a terrible time and I haven't taken enough bubble baths, taking time for myself, and really being careful to be looking at the multiple layers of care that need to include structural care and community care and all these different things. And that's the first thing, because I think that, I want to say this. I worked with a client when I was a student who was in a domestic violence situation. I talk about this in the book. And I was worried that he was going to kill her. And that happened probably a few months, 2 months or so, where I was like, every week, I was like, she might just be dead. And I remember thinking and talking to my supervisor about like, what is self-care if I legit think she might die? Like, I can't feel good about this situation, and kind of releasing, understanding that like feeling happy when things are terrible, like isn't life. And that's not the baseline that we should be striving for. Like, this is an awful thing that's happening. And my supervisor helped to reframe it with me around like, okay, let's face this. Like, she might not survive, this relationship if she doesn't. What would you have wanted her therapy sessions with you to be like? And how can you co-create that space with her? Like, you wouldn't want her to feel judged or be judged by you. You wouldn't want her to be pressured to leave or to do any policing, all the controlling things we want to do when we're scared for somebody. And so I think self-care includes just like a release that like, this sucks, and there are times when it feels really bad and is really terrible. And that's okay. That's part of living and it's part of the process. I think in terms of public leadership and the toll, no one who doesn't know me believes me, but I'm an extremely private person and very shy. And so being a public scholar is difficult for me. And I always, whenever I write a piece, I kind of do it, send it, and then, hide, and I don't look at emails for a while because whatever I put on the page is like my soul and my tears. And it feels very, very vulnerable. And so I think that I continue to do it because I pull from Mr. Mitchell, Arthur Mitchell, Dance Beat of Harlem. I was a dancer before going to school, and I worked there and was under him. And he talks about that we carry a mantle greater than ourselves. And so like, this isn't about me, you, any of us individually. This is about what we represent and what we can do for the community and for other people. And so I continue to be public in this way. And then I do what I need to do to be private and to have my own space and to not write sometimes. A disaster may have happened and I might be silent on it because I can't do it right now. And that has to be okay too, that my sole reason for existing can't be what I can give to everybody else. And needing to be protective of myself and Audre Lorde, right? Like self-resistance is an act of political warfare, right? And that's powerful. And so I take that really, really seriously.
Thank you again. And I think, what you said is right, so true, is that sometimes, right, we forget about to take care of ourselves, right? Particularly for, folks of color, when we're talking about racism, talking about all these other, and then for sexism, it also affects us, whether we're teaching, we're engaging in research. It's not just theoretical, where it is for other people dependent on their identities, and it's not recognized. And again, just,
okay.
Are you sure?
I'm sorry, I want to say one thing. I do compile resources, and so the social justice institutional change collection is me compiling resources. Part of that, doing that, was like, don't ask me. Don't ask me to give another talk. Don't ask me to tell you about what's racism. It's summer 2020, we don't have any idea. Go read something. I'll give you the list, you go read it, and then you can come back. And I think kind of offshooting that labor and giving things out in different ways can be helpful to protect yourself.
100%. Yeah, thank you for saying that, because I think that doesn't get talked about or recognized, and then definitely not practiced, right? So again, really want to thank you so much for your research and your talk and your work. Definitely an area that's not talked about in depth a lot, or the complexities and intersectionalities as well, and particularly really your focus on anti-Black racism. Because right, a lot of times it's blanketed as racism, but not particularly towards anti-Black racism, which has very nuanced forms. So really thank you for bringing that up as well. So let's lastly give one last really big applause for Dr. Gómez for all the research and work she's engaging in, and for her presentation today. So we really want to thank everyone for coming. And again, our wonderful speaker, Dr. Gómez. I'm really excited to have her join us here at the USSW, and our insightful reflectors, Corinne Bogard, Nadia Foster, and Dr. Dudana Moroff, and our amazing behind the tech support from doctoral student Greer Hamilton. So just as you know, I think the link was put up. So if you're getting your CEUs, just to complete the form using the link that was just put into the chat. And in this movement, we would like to say that the path to justice is more like a marathon and not a sprint. So please take good care of yourselves. We all need you to create our new world. We will see you at our next Equity Inclusion Speakers event, Thursday, February 17th, when Natasha M. Lee Johnson will be joining us, and she will be presenting on disability, race, and gender, reproductive health solutions. Bueno, gracias. Thank you again, everyone, and our onward struggle for justice and liberation. Thank you all so much, and thank you one last time to Dr. Gómez.
Gracias, thank you.